what's all this? What's all this money? You said you didn't have any large amounts of money in the vehicle. Turn around for me, okay?
Are there any large sums of money over $5,000 in cash in the vehicle?
That's all hundreds.
How much money you got? That's not Jim's, is it?
Is it mine?
Well, I'm seizing it.
Every year, police and prosecutors across the United States take millions of dollars in cash, cars, homes, and more using a legal tool called civil forfeiture. Using civil forfeiture, law enforcement can take your property without even charging you with a crime. In most places, cash and property taken boost the budgets of the very police agencies and prosecutors' offices that took it. This video tracks as much of that money and property as possible. How much is taken? How is it taken? And where does it go after it's taken? Let's begin at the federal level. The Department of Justice's Forfeiture Fund was established in the mid-1980s to collect seized property and distribute the proceeds to federal, state, and local law enforcement. Since 2001, it has exploded, with the annual take reaching $4.5 billion in 2014. The Treasury Department takes billions more. In all, the federal government took $29 billion in cash and property in just 14 years. Most often, property is taken using civil forfeiture, not criminal. With criminal forfeiture, the government must convict you before it can take your property. But under civil forfeiture, no conviction is necessary. Just 13% of Justice Department forfeitures followed a conviction. Now let's look at another part of federal forfeiture: equitable sharing. This is a controversial program that allows local cops to seize property, turn it over to the feds, and get up to 80% of the proceeds back. Local law enforcement can use equitable sharing to bypass their own state's forfeiture laws and claim forfeiture money they couldn't otherwise get. Since 2000, the Justice Department has paid state and local law enforcement $4.7 billion out of cash and property taken through equitable sharing. Over 14 years, the annual equitable sharing take tripled. In January 2015, the Attorney General announced changes intended to curb equitable sharing, but they only targeted a small slice of the program. Let's turn to the states. How much money and property is taken under state civil forfeiture laws? It's impossible to say. Few states publish forfeiture information online. The Institute for Justice tried to get forfeiture records from every state, but many don't keep them, and others weren't usable. The best nationwide snapshot we could get for a single year was 2012. Altogether, these 26 states and the District of Columbia took roughly $254 million in cash and property. We can look at a longer time period, but only for 14 states. In 12 years, these states' combined annual forfeiture revenue more than doubled. And what does law enforcement buy with all of that forfeiture money? Unfortunately, it's hard to say. Law enforcement is even less forthcoming about its spending than it is about its seizing, although IJ obtained data for a handful of states that provide a glimpse. Across these 4 states, most forfeiture money paid for equipment and law enforcement salaries, things that benefit officers by improving working conditions or even pay. Perhaps even more troubling, a large share of spending was simply marked "other," and there is no way to know what that money bought. For all that we don't know about forfeiture in the United States, we can say this for certain: civil forfeiture is a big and growing problem. It threatens basic rights to property and due process, and without serious reform, it's only going to keep growing. To learn more about civil forfeiture and how your state stacks up, check out the second edition of IJ's Policing for Profit report.